Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to topic 32. In this topic, we're going to be seeing how to actually create an illustration. And it's going to be quite simple, guys. Over here, we're going to click on File and Open. And we'll open up the file from the PDF for Photoshop folder, which is basically this cafe.png. Once we open this up, guys, I can press Ctrl H and you can see how we have actually got this cafe. Now, this cafe is a 2D export of a 3D model in our SketchUp, which has been created in SketchUp. Now we want to change this into an illustration. So for this, guys, I'm going to use the wand tool and I'm going to select this space over here and I will create a new layer and I will fill in just say white color, Ctrl D. Then I'll select this space again. So you want to make sure you have sample or layer switched on. Select this as well as this, create a new layer, fill color, Ctrl D, select this space. Now you can see that it's getting selected over here as well. So what we'll do is just give it a Ctrl D, reduce the tolerance, let's say to 0. Now you can see this kind of does not get selected. I can create a new layer, fill color, Ctrl D. Now if you guys notice that this has come on one single layer, so I want to split those up. So I'll use the wand tool to select that space and delete from the layer 1 just to go ahead and create a new layer and fill in color, Ctrl D. After this, guys, we'll even select the floor over here. So just make sure you're selecting the whole floor and make sure this is done properly, because we'll have to be laying tiles. So that's going to be a very difficult task if we haven't selected this properly, otherwise it will be very easy. So once we have selected, guys, all the entire floor, we can now go ahead and create a new layer and fill in color, Ctrl D. What we have done essentially is we have created layers. Now I can rename this layer as, let's say, the left wall. This will be the top wall. This will be our floor. And this will be our right wall. Now once I've created this much, guys, we'll go into any one of this layer by double clicking. And I'll give it a pattern overlay. As you can see, because it's a perspective view, this pattern might not work, but we will go ahead and use this texture pattern over here, and we can reduce the scale to increase the grains as well as reduce the opacity to just give it that little look like this. Now when we want to give it a perspective look, we can actually add a gradient overlay and change the radius, means from radial to linear, and change the angle over here. You can see how that would work, where we would get dark behind to light in the front. So that'd be around 0. I can increase the scale and reduce the opacity. So you can see how that would look. The dark to light will actually give us a good perspective look. I can actually copy the layer style and paste it on the top as well as on the left wall, like this. Of course, the gradients would need to be changed. So I can enter into the top wall and I can change its gradient overlay. Can actually change how the dark to light should look. So it would be something like this at around 90. As you can see over here, that'd be dark to light. I can press OK. Go ahead and do the same thing for this wall. We'll add a gradient overlay and change it this side to -180, something like that, and press OK. So as you can see over here, we have kind of gone ahead and created the gradient overlay in the walls. Now I'll use the W tool to actually go ahead and select this back wall, create a new layer, and I can fill in white color there as well. I can actually go ahead and paste the same layer style over here, which is basically the one from the right. But this time I will double click and I will change the gradient overlay to a radial, or even to, let's just say, a reflected one. Now what this reflected one would do would be that it would actually kind of provide dark in the center and then light over here. We can even go ahead and try the linear, but what happens with the linear, actually the reflected one would be much better. I'll tell you why now. Because we have the dark in the front, and you can see if I reduce this, is dark in the front and light in the sides, and I can just click on this reverse button simply, and what that would do is it would make light on the sides and dark on the sides and light in the center. And this would actually help us a lot. Now we can actually reduce the scale quite a lot and reduce the opacity as well, so that it gets darker at the corners and lighter in the center, and this would actually give us a very good perspective view. As you guys can see, it's somewhat similar to just shading with a pencil. So once we're done with this much, guys, we can now go ahead and add the flooring. The flooring is going to be a little tricky. So before we go ahead and add the flooring, what I want you guys to do is, I want you to drag down guidelines from here to 1, set it on this edge. 2, we will drag one more line from here and bring it over here. And 3, I will drag one more line from here and bring it over here. And what we essentially get is this endpoint and this endpoint, which can make sure that this is basically going to be at one level and this is basically going to be at one level. Alright, now we'll go up and click on File and Open. And over here we'll go to our Materials file and we can open up, let's say, this wood. Something like this. Now I can double click and press OK. I can drag this wood from here and take it over here. And I can actually go and place the wood over here. You can see I can place it literally over here. And I can copy now it on the side. Of course, the first thing I would want to do is then Control T and mirror. This is the third time we're seeing mirror. And I can drag it over here. So that would give us a nice seamless look. I can select easily both of these and press Alt and copy it on the side. Again, select all 4 of these. Press Alt and copy it on the side. Similarly over here, copy it on the side. And we can just delete the extra ones from here. Now once I'm done with this, guys, I'll select all of these layers and copy it below. Control T, and I will take it up like this till here. And I will drag it back down and place it and press Enter. As you guys can see, this is how I have actually set this whole thing up. So I'll just repeat the last one. We select all of these layers. So I can just select this. Holding Shift, I'll click on the lower layer. So we select all of these, Alt and copy them down, Control T and drag this up like this and Enter to just bring this back down. So we have something like this, guys. Now from the topmost layer, holding Shift, to the bottommost layer, right click and merge layers. And this will basically now create all of this to become one entire flooring. We can now easily press Control T. And now I can just scale this a little bit inside so that it comes within the line. And from here, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the Control button, and holding Control, I'm going to drag it from this point like this. So you can see how we are kind of skewing it into a perspective look. Similarly, I'm going to come here and I'm going to press Control and skew it like this. And what that's essentially going to do is it's going to give us the perspective look of our flooring. Now I can press Enter to end it, and once that is done, we can actually now use this as our flooring. Of course, it's covering a lot of these spaces. So what I would want you guys to do is take your flooring and put it on top of this tiles. So I'll just rename this as tiles, right? And you can see that this is actually the flooring that we want, but this is what we have to lay. We have to lay the tiles on top of where we want the flooring. So what are we going to do over here? Well, guys, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to press Control and click on this little box. And what that's going to do is it's actually going to select this entire floor, correct? But we want to erase this extra portion off. So I'll use the Wand tool, right click, select Inverse. And what that's going to do is now it's going to select everything apart from the floor. So this was my floor, and you can see it's selecting everything apart from that particular white area. Now I'll shift my layer to the tiles and I will press the Delete button. So what have I initially deleted is basically the extra portion from the tiles. And now I can press Control D. I can actually keep the floor in a hidden layer. And you can see now the extra portions have gotten deleted. So this is how my tiles would look. And that looks really perfect, really great. I think this is great enough for creating a basic illustration, something which looks a little bit animated, yet you're getting the vibes from it. One last thing that I want you guys to do is you can see over here that this area is very dark. So I will select this portion, I will create a new layer, Alt backspace to fill in the white color, and I can reduce its opacity so it's dark but it's not too dark, because now we have livened up the entire space. Now once you guys are done with this much, we can go ahead and start to add objects. So I will start doing that in the next topic. where I will see you guys. Take care.